Tonight, the farming methods that make chicken so cheap. The supermarket meat that's not what it seems to be.
That's well out of order.
And why Chef Raymond Blanc turned his nose up at some supermarket ready meals.
Oh my God. That to me, that's a crime against humanity.
The supermarket's high street stranglehold is changing the way we eat as well as shop. Tonight, we take a trolley down the aisles to lift the lid on some supermarket secrets. It's become an integral part of family life, the weekly trip to the supermarket for the family food shop. The major supermarket chains seem to have grown into a kind of shopper's paradise. Cheap food perfectly presented, a range and variety that would have been undreamt of 50 years ago. So what's the problem? I'm a working journalist with 3 kids, and as far as I'm concerned, my local supermarket is a godsend. I can pick up all of the food I want in a single trip. And what's more, it's all top quality stuff and cheap too. Well, at least that's what the supermarkets would have us believe. Sunday lunch, 1950s style. Mr. and Mrs. Average Britain sit down with the kids to an extra special treat. A nice bit of chicken, roast potatoes and 2 seasonal veg.
Dominic!
Fast forward 50 years and that chicken has magically transformed from an expensive treat into Britain's staple diet. But now it's likely to be pre-packed, pre-prepared and ready to eat. And we're eating 4 times as many chickens as 30 years ago. Or to put it another way, literally billions of thighs, breast, wings and drumsticks. Chicken tikka masalas, chicken Kievs, chicken pies, chicken escallops, chicken nuggets, chicken goujons and southern fried chicken. But there's a price to pay for all this cheap food, and it's not just a financial one. I've come deep into the rural heart of England to visit a highly successful, ultra-modern business.
Hello.
Hello, Jane.
How are you?
Very pleased to meet you.
Nice to see you.
Alan Simpson has built a facility which uses the most up-to-date technologies available. It's well-run and super efficient.
It's one of the largest independent units in the UK.
It doesn't look like something I would traditionally call a farm.
No, I think it's moved a long way from the early days. We have, unfortunately, and I hate to use the word, become a factory farm, but that's exactly what we are. We're factory farming.
His farm produces over 2 million units every year. Most of them end up on supermarket shelves, in the fresh meat aisles. Alan Simpson grows chickens the modern way. So this is all pretty high-tech. What does this all do? Is it temperature?
All the houses are, the environment is controlled. Daily temperatures, the lighting patterns, how much ventilation the bird receives. It takes care of it all by computer.
Okay.
Now then, before we go in there, I must ask you, no quick movements.
Right.
You are going to find this something different than you've seen before, so I'm asking you not to be too alarmed by it. If you move quietly, the birds will simply become adjusted to you.
Okay, you've got me worried now, Alan.
No. But you don't start any sharp movements to start with.
Right.
Okay, just let them
Are you going to go in
get
first?
used to it.
Oh my God.
Come on.
As far as my eye can see, I can see chickens. My God. It's a good job I'm not frightened of birds. I've just stepped into the middle of 25,000 of them. So is this sort of like the legal
maximum of birds that you're allowed to have in a space like this?
No. We can grow chicken to a lot denser volume on the floor than this.
Denser than this?
Oh yes, this is what I'm happy with. There's more room for them to move around, and I'm personally just happier growing to 34 kilos a metre than the 38 kilos a metre that we're allowed.
But not everyone can afford to be as scrupulous as Alan Simpson.
Unfortunately, in our industry, there's a lot of people put these nice new buildings up. They've got to pay their loans back, and they can't afford to grow them like this. And there's a fine line between them having their own space and having very little space. And a lot of my colleagues believe if they would all grow chicken like this, if only they could get a just return for it.
As chicken gets cheaper, turnover grows. Alan Simpson now has up to 1/3 birds in the sheds at any one time.
There's been a demand for cheap food, and then you get in the situation where they find out that, oh, well, they can now produce it for a little bit less, and you get driven down. The price just gets driven down.
This is a hell of a lot of chickens. When I go into my supermarket, I pay, say, an average of £3 maybe for a chicken. Somebody's making a fortune.
The baby chick is about 26p. The food that we feed it is 64p. Your ongoings, heats, wages and all the other bits and pieces about 16. Your processor probably works on about 50 pence a kilo. That leaves us with 4p. We're left with 4p.
So you personally make 4 pence per chicken?
Yeah, it's a meagre amount for what we have invested here.
With farmers turning over millions of birds every year at just 4 pence a bird, it's vital to ensure that standards are kept high. So 5 years ago, the supermarkets and the poultry industry got together to launch the Assured Chicken Production Standards Scheme. Inspectors are supposed to make regular farm visits, even if they're pre-arranged. And if this red tractor logo is on a chicken on the supermarket shelves, it should mean that conditions in the broiler house have reached the proper standard. And this is all the more important because modern intensive farming techniques have turned chicken rearing into an industrial process. These chicks are a breed called Ross 308. Sounds like a sports car, but in fact it's the supermarket's favourite chicken, because it fattens up fast. If you're eating chicken from a supermarket this evening, chances are it'll be a Ross 308. Once these baby chicks start tucking into their specially developed high-protein feed, a modern broiler farm can grow a chick from this to this in just 42 days. And that means that these little chicks will fast forward through life, reaching maturity in just about half the time it took their 1950s forebears. But what does all that do for the taste of supermarket chicken? Bland is about the best you can say, really. But that's a problem that doesn't just go for chicken. How does supermarket meat stand up against the traditional butcher?